Good morning to all my dear participants and delegates. Very warm welcome. The most respected dignitaries and the university authorities, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Kakde sir, Honorable Register, Professor Sunandamma, Honorable Register Evaluation, Professor PG Tadsa sir, and Honorable Chairman of our department and also Organizing Secretary, Madam Santa Devi, and all the resource person and all my teaching faculty members in my university and all the students and research scholars of our university. Myself, Dr. Gavisiddappa Anandhalli, Associate Professor and also the Organizing Secretary of this webinar and also in charge librarian. And we have planned to organize the 5 days national webinar program. And when you start to this webinar, we thought of many topics, and finally we have decided to go with the research and publication ethics because this paper is recently introduced by the UGC. This is a part of the coursework of the research scholars. They have to face the examination for 2 credit papers. So as a result of which, so we have ultimately taken this topic for our webinar. One of the most important for us is when you planned to execute this webinar, since it is a first time for us to work out in the new virtual environment, we have so much of challenges and also uncertainty. What would be the outcome of our webinar? How the technology is going to feasible for us to extend the effectiveness of this webinar, the cooperation of the resource person, their availability and mode of delivery through the virtual mode. And also we are very much worried about the participants because they have to participate through the virtual mode. So all these things we have to think a lot in the beginning. Ultimately, once you see the series of programs at the end today, this is the 5th day of our webinar program. So everything is worked out very well and it was a very grand success. That success goes to you only because of your kind cooperation and coordination only. It would have possible for us to make this event more success. So with this, when you thought of this webinar from the Department of Library and Information Science and in association with the University Library, we have planned it, and according to our schedule, we have executed it. So today is the last day and we will wind up it. I hope this webinar will going to expose you practically and also to gain some extent of knowledge on research and publication ethics because it is one of the most important and need of the hour today to understand the philosophy and ethics of the research. For the topic allotted for presentation is research matrix. The research matrix is one of the major component of research. It is one of the most emerging area in research. One has to understand the research matrix. It is most essential and necessary for all the faculty members and also the research scholars, especially who are working at the higher education system. Because today, if you look at our performance, it is based on research metrics only. Whenever any university or government, if they want to offer any post for the appointment, for the grading system, for the promotion, the research can be assessed with the help of research metrics only. Therefore, knowledge of this research metrics is very useful. It is very helpful for the faculty member especially, and also for the research scholars in order to enhance the visibility of your research outside the research world. Your research should be impacted across the research world. Then only you can get the visibility and also you can get the recognition across the research world. So this topic is most useful and helpful for the faculty members as well as the research scholars. This topic I will going to cover some of the important metrics which are going to be used for assessing the performance of the research. For this topic, I am not the specialized in this subject, and moreover, it is not my specialized area. Anyway, I try my level best to cover some of the important metrics which are going to used for assessment of the research output. Okay. With this, I will going to present the outline of the presentation. First and foremost, I start with the research meaning only, because before going to the actual theme of the research, let me start with the meaning of research. We have to understand what actually the meaning of research. Later, we have to understand the importance of research, how the research will going to help us in the various dimensional way. After that, we will going to introduce the cytometrics. It is one of the most important area in library and information science. It is a part of our research metrics. Later, we will come to the actual theme of the presentation, that is research metrics. The research metrics are consisting of series of indicators. We are also called as a metrics. Among that, one of the most oldest factor we are using in the research metrics is impact factor. That impact factor is followed by the CiteScore. CiteScore is the next version of the impact factor for measuring the assessment of the journal, and later we have followed the Eigine factor for the checking the quality output of the journal. After that, we are going to discuss about the H index. This H index is measure the assessment of the author output. And later, the next improvement version of the H index is G index. From the G index, we are going to discuss about the another important metrics for the journal tracking is Simago journal ranking. After that, we have to discuss about the Google Scholar citation. After that, the very recent and emerging one of the metrics is that is Altmetrics. From the Altmetrics, we switch over to the SNIP, that is a source normalized impact per paper. After that, we will conclude my presentation. So let us we talk about the what actually the research is. As we know that the word research itself consisting of the self-explanatory. The answer can be found in the word research only. The research is nothing but a re plus search. Re plus search. Research. Search once again. Searching for what? Searching for the information. Searching for the knowledge. Searching for the fact. Searching for the truth. So ultimately, research is nothing but you are searching for which is unknown to you, that you have to find out the mystery behind in that issue or theme. Therefore, research is nothing but it is finding the solution to the particular problem or finding the answer to the particular question. This way, the research will help us to find something which is unknown to us, and it will always helps for the extension of knowledge also. Basically, research is nothing but it is a scientific and systematic and logical way of searching the information on a particular topic or issue, or it is also is one of the critical evaluation on a particular theme or particular topic or particular issue. It is an art of scientific investigation. You cannot do as and when we required. It has its own procedure, it has its own methodology, it has its own tools. Accordingly, we have to execute in the systematic and well-planned manner. So according to the Redman and More, research is defined in this way: systemized effort to gain a new knowledge. It is a systemized effort. We have to gain a new knowledge. As I told earlier, research is basically extended for the new knowledge, expansion of knowledge. It is one of the main era. According to Clifford D, the research is defined with various steps in research in the process of research. So according to him, he defined the research as defining and redefining the problem, formulating the hypothesis or suggested solution, collecting, organizing and evaluating the data, making reductions and reaching the conclusion, and finally carefully testing the conclusion to determine whether they fit the formulated hypothesis or not. Just is simply explain the process of research in the step-by-step way. In the research, what we are doing is first to identify the problem on a particular area. Later, it has to be formulated in the researchable sense. After that, we formulate the objectives of the work. Later, we are going to formulate the hypothesis of the problem. After that, we have developed the design of the research. Later, we are going to talk about the design of the data collection tool. And after the designing the sample techniques or sample problem, later then we will go for the survey. From the survey, we are collecting the data. Based on the data, we are going to analyze it, and we are applying the proper statistical tool to the formulated null hypothesis, whether it can be accepted or it can be rejected. So if you come to the importance of research, research play a very important role, especially in the various, as I told, it is the basically meant for finding the solution for the given problem or finding the answer to the given question. So here let me take the example of the present pandemic coronavirus only. Today the whole world is under the depressed and very critical situation because of the sudden breakdown of this coronavirus across the globe. It has affected the severe sector also. So much of millions of people have died, and most of the sectors are severely affected with this coronavirus, especially in the health sectors, especially in the transportation, especially totally all the education institutions have been closed, and most of the economy of all the countries totally collapsed. It is one of the very severe and critical problem across the world. Now we have to find the solution for this. What is the solution? Research is the solution. What is the problem? Coronavirus is the problem. As a result of which, many countries came forward and they are working for the coronavirus, and they're doing research on the coronavirus. Almost all countries are involved in it. Almost some of the country have already 75% achievement they have made in this success. Another 1 or 2 months, they will going to develop the vaccine for this coronavirus. Because of the research, we could be able to find the solution for this very dangerous and critical problem. Therefore, in this way, the research helps us for the solving many problems. In the basics of research, we can find the types of research also. We have two types basically. One is basic research, other one is application research. The basic research is always intended for the extension of knowledge. It is always intended to formulating the new theories, formulating the new laws, formulating the new principles. Whereas in case of application research, we are going to find the immediate solution for the given problem. So in this way, this research is also coming under the application research only. So this research helps us to contributing the development of new theory. Today we come across there is a emerging of the universe. You can see the universe of knowledge. So many theories have been developed, so many principles have been developed, so many laws have developed. Especially if you take the example of the physics only, we come across the Newton laws. So magnitude laws. So we come across many things, and also we come across the Albert Einstein theory of relativity. Because of their research only, they have developed some hypothesis. From the hypothesis, it has been developed into the some kind of theories. This way, it is an extension of knowledge in that particular field or discipline. Discovering the new things and possible solution, and find the solution to the many problems and discovering the truth. So many, the world and whole universe is very mysterious. Still also, we have to find out the answer to those mysterious truths. This is one of the way to tackle the solution. Fill up the gap in the knowledge system. Always the research help us. We have to find out the gap in the knowledge system. You try to fill up those gaps with the help of research only. Apart from this, this research will help us changing better and more professional life. Apart from this, enhance the living standards in society. Because of research only, we come across a life which became a more comfortable and easy way because of research only. Research must always be a high quality in order to produce the knowledge that is applicable outside the research setting. So let us come to the another very important component in our library science is scientometrics. So scientometrics is basically it is a quantitative study and measuring the output of the any literature or any research output. Okay, it basically consisting of a set of metrics related to the science indicator. So basically we are dealing with the citation analysis, research evaluation, etc. So therefore, scientometrics is a branch of library science. It is basically deals about the quantitative study of scientific output by measuring the various indicators that we today call it as research indicators. By using those indicators, we can able to assess the output of the research either at the individual level, either at the institution level, or at the country level. So this is one of the most important area in the library science. Scientometrics is restricted to the measurement of science and communication, whereas bibliometrics deals with the general information process. As you know that when you talk about the history and development of this scientometrics, basically it starts with librometrics, which is proposed by our father of library science, Dr. S. R. Ranganathan. From the library librometrics, it is usual to the bibliometrics. From the bibliometrics, now we come across the scientometrics. From the scientometrics, we come across the today is altmetrics, like this web metrics, intrometrics. Like this, we have a different kind of metrics are available today for measuring the growth and development of literature in the given field of specialization. It is a sub-discipline of library and information science to an instrument for evaluation and benchmarking of science activities. The scientometrics is basically helps to measure the activity of the research output. So therefore, we can apply the set of metrics or indicator to measure the growth and development of literature or the research output or scientific output. So in order to measure the research output, we can use the various parameters or bibliometric components for analyzing the research in terms of various angles. Okay, the research output can be analyzed and assessed and make the measurement of literature on the basis of the country. So recently I have done one research. That means I have written an article on the research output in the field of cloud computing technology. One of the component I have taken in my article is so most productivity country in the world in the field of cloud computing technology. So in that, the USA is emerging as one of the most productivity country in the field of cloud computing technology. Like this, the research output can be analyzed, can be assessed, and you can measure the performance of the research on the basis of the country also, which country has occupied the top post in the research in a particular discipline. And also we can analyze the institution wise and university wise. Okay, if the government wishes to grant the any financial support for any institution means so what is the basis for the university or the government to grant the amount. So on the basis of the research performance, the government may release the grant. Therefore, we can analyze the research output on the basis of the institution, on the basis of the universities. Again, in the same paper, I have written. I also analyzed the research output on the basis of the institution wise. So in that article, I come across that MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, appears to be the topmost institute in the world in the field of cloud computing technology. Like this, we have to analyze the research performance on the basis of the institution, on the basis of the university. Even we can analyze the research output on department also, discipline wise also, project wise also, and even at the bottom level, if we come at the individual author performance also, we can analyze. In the article only, we have analyzed the research output on the basis of the most productivity authors. So in that way, we can analyze the research output on various angle, either from the country wise or from the institution wise or from the discipline wise or from the department wise or from the individual wise. This way, it will help a lot for the decision makers for various purposes, especially with respect to granting the fund for the department or for the individual or for the country or for the institution. This is the one of the parameter for them. So let me come to the main theme of the topic of the today presentation is research metrics tools. Okay, the research metrics tools already we know about it to some extent, but still we have covered some of the important recent metrics they come across in the field of research. The fundamental tool used across the publishing industry to measure the performance both at the journal level and author level. The research tool is nothing but they are the metrics, they are the indicators. Through that, we are going to measure the performance of the research or the measuring the performance of the research and assessment of the research either at the journal level or at the individual level. We can do it. They will help us to measure the growth and development of literature at the given literature or given subject. Okay, we come across so many research indicators are there, especially impact factors are there, H index is there, G index is there, so many even Altmetrics is there, so many metrics are there today. We can use these metrics and we can measure the performance of the literature. Today we come across the basket of metrics how to be used to assess the overall performance of the research output. Earlier those days, we have a limited metrics. In almost in 1960, we come across only one metrics, that is impact factor. That is the only metrics available in those days. Using that metrics, it is highly impossible to overall measurement of the performance of the research. Therefore, today we have a set of metrics, what you call it as a basket of metrics through which you can measure the overall performance of the research in a given discipline, or you can measure the research output with the help of this set of or range of matrices. Traditional impact factor to the Altmetrics or H index or beyond. Earlier, the very popular metrics is that is impact factor. This is used for measuring the quality of the journal in those days, but later as emerging due to the help of the information communication technology, today we come across various technology-based indicators are available. Today we have a Altmetrics is there, we have a H index is there. So using all this level, at all level, you can measure the research output. Either you can measure at the individual level or the individual performance of the author or the article performance level or at the journal level, you can measure it. The assessment of the performance of research output on three levels. Okay, usually the performance of the research can be judged on the basis of three levels. That is journal level performance of the research output. That can be measured with the help of impact factor or Eigine factors. These are even we also use another important factor, that is CiteScore is also you can use it for measuring the journal level performance. The next level for the measuring the research output is article level. Article influence score is another important indicator or matrix to measure the performance of the article. The next bottom level of the performance is author level, where we can use H index to measure the performance of the researcher or measure the performance of the any individual. Even we can apply it at the university level H index or the country level H index also. This way, for any given field, the research output performance can be done on three levels. One is at journal level performance, other one is article level performance, and the last level is author level performance can be done with various research indicators or research matrices. If you want to measure the quality of the journal or the reputation of the journal, so you have to use the impact factor, or you have to use the Eigine factor, or you have to use the SciteScore matrix. If you use the article level performance, which article is better and best? So if you want to check the quality of a research article, means we have to use one matrix that is called as a article influence score matrix. At the bottom level, if you want to assess the performance of the individual research author performance, either we have to use H index or G index. This way we can use the performance of the uh, individual author. We have discussed the research matrices. The research matrices consisting of the set of matrices. Some of the matrices used for the particular concern only. The impact factor is the first and foremost research matrix. It is one of the well-known matrix. It is used for assessing the journal performance, to check the quality of the journal, to check the research performance of the journal, and all aspect we have to use for the journal level. This is the research matrix we have to use. This is the research index we have to use impact factor. It is of course one of the old matrix designed in the 1960. So from 1960 only, the impact factor has been devised and developed. From that onwards only, we are using to check the quality of research output in the journal. So it is one of the quantitative indicators, or to assess the importance of the journal and its quality. So what purpose this impact factor is using? The impact factor is using to assess the importance of the journal and its quality. Okay, to check the quality of the research articles or the quality of the journal, where it stand in the system of literature, we can use the impact factor. And this impact factor is very easy to calculate. It is a simple arithmetic mean. That's all. The Web of Science Journal Citation Report publishes the official result annually. The Web of Science is one of the international databases, indexing databases. It has a one matrix in that we call it as a Journal Citation Reports. So this Journal Citation Reports, it will tracking and tracing and ranking the journal which are indexed in that databases. So this JCR, Journal Citation Reports, it publishes the impact factor annually according to the data available in the database. So why we are going for this impact factor? What is the useful of this impact factor? If you take from the reader point of view, suppose I am the research scholars in library science or any of the subject, which journal I should read, okay? Because I am carrying the research work, I am pursuing the research, and I want to refer some of the article for my research work. I want to maintain a quality in my research work. So which journal I supposed to use for my research work? Ultimately, you refer impact factor journal. So you check the impact factor availability in your area. Suppose there are 20 journals are there which are published in your subject or discipline. Check the impact factor of the 20 journal. Which journal occupy the highest impact factor? That seems to be a more quality one. Therefore, you take the decision to refer those highly impact factor journal for your. So this way it helps for the selection of the journal for the research scholars or the faculty members. Suppose I have written an article. I don't know where I have to publish this article. So if you want to make your research more impact, it has to be visible in the research world. So if you want to make it visible in the research world, if you want to showcase your research impact on outside the research world, you have to again publish the article in the reputed journal or a journal which is having a high impact factor. Automatically it will help us to make your work more progressive, and visibility will be get. Automatically you will get more number of citation, and also you can get enhance your H index also. This way, for publishing your research article, again you have to check the impact factor, the journal which is having the highest impact factor. If you publish your research article, automatically your publication will have more impact in the research world. So this another important international institution is the Institute of Scientific Information. They are also listing the important journals in the science as well as in social science. They are preparing the source list of journal according to their quality, according to their impact factor. That will be a more important for us for reference. It is one of the reference tool for the library based on their performance, based on the impact factor. This institution will prepare the rank list of journals, which is very helpful for us. The more is reference in the journal, more is its impact factor. So if you have find many number of references in the journal, means automatically if you publish in that journal, means you can get more impact factor automatically, because number of researchers or the users of that journal automatically quote the citation of that journal, automatically it enhance its impact factor. The average number of citation is issued by the article in a journal within a 2 years window. For calculation of impact factor, it is very easy. It is a relation between the two variables. What are those two variables? One is number of citation received for that articles divided by number of total paper published in that journal. So it is always for the calculation of the impact factor, we are taking the two previous years data for the calculation. The journal citation reports annually covers the science and social science, Scopus, Web of Science, and Google citations. Okay, these are the area. The journal citation reports annually it publishes and releases officially the impact factor. The journal which are covered under the Web of Science or Scopus and based on the data available in those databases. And even we can also get it from the other databases also. Next important thing we have to discuss here is how can get an impact factor for journal. Suppose I want to publish a new journal. For my journal, I want the impact factor. What things I have to do it for getting the impact factor? The journal should be indexed in Science Citation Index Expanded or Social Science Citation Index. This is an official impact factor. So your journal should going to index either any one of the databases. Either it has indexed in the Science Citation Index Expanded or Social Science Citation Index. It has to be first indexed it. Later, simply they will not going to index it. It has the eligibility coverage in the Web of Science. Journal must meet the wide range of criteria. Suppose if your journal has to be included in the Web of Science database, means simply they will not select your journal. It has its own process of selection. It has to go very tough and very rigorous selection process is there for the selection of the journal. It has to be included in the Web of Science. So here there is a lot of evaluation parameters are there, and double reviewing committee has to pass the quality of your journal. Then only your journal will be included in Web of Science. Once it is included, means automatically it has included in the journal citation report, and annually you are going to get the impact factor for your journal. So this is the step you have to follow in your research work. The first step to receive an impact factor is features in Emerging Source Citation Index. Before it has to release, once it is get indexed, means it has to be registered in the Emerging Source Citation Index in Web of Science or in the Scopus. After that, you will get the impact factor. After discussing about the background of impact factors, let us we discuss a very simple way. What is impact factor? Means impact factor is an indicator. Impact factor is a research matrix, which is used for what? Which is used for measuring the performance of research output of the journal. It is basically decide the quality of research output of the journal. It is basically deals with the quality, and also it deals with citation. So this is very simple. It is nothing but a numeric value of a journal. Based on your impact factor, you can decide if the impact factor is high, a tendency towards the high quality of journal. If the impact factor is less, means it is a less quality. That way you can take the decision about the journal. Now let us we discuss about the calculation of impact factors. It is very simple. Just it is a relation between the two variable here for the calculation. One is what? One is the number of citations received for the citable item in that journal divided by number of publication published in that journal. That's all. Here one of the example journal impact factor calculation for the journal. which is published in 2017, it received the impact factor. That impact factor calculation is 2.229. How it is calculated? Here it is 214 divided by 96. How it comes? So it is, the calculation follows like this. As I told, the number of citations received in a particular year for the citable item which is published in last 2 previous years divided by total number of publication published in 2 previous years. That's all. The citation 2017 to the item published in 2015 and 2016 divided by number of paper published in 2015, 2016. Okay. Here 109 citations received in the year 2015, 105 citations are received in 2016 for the journal which is published in 2017 divided by total number of publication or article published in that journal. In 2015 it has published 46 journal, in 2016 it has published 50 journal, altogether it is 96. Therefore the calculation of the impact factor is very simple. Number of citation received divided by number of paper published in that journal during the last 2 years. For general formula, the impact factor for the year X may you would consider 2019. Citation in the year 2019 for a particular journal which is received the citation for X minus 1, X minus 2. For example, if it is a 2019 means X minus 1 means the number of citation received in 2018, the number of citation received in 2017 divided by article published in X minus 1 and X minus 2. That means the number of paper published in 2017, 2018. That gives the impact factor. So here I have given one more example. One of the journal, most reputed journal is Nature Journal. It has an impact factor of 43.07 for 2018, and for 5 years impact factor it is little bit high, almost it is 45.819. Okay. Here, in order to make the more clarity on the calculation of impact factor, I take once again the example of Nature Journal. For the year which is released, the impact factor of Nature Journal is 28.599. How the calculation is went on here? Here the number of citations received in 2019 to the article published in 2017 and 2018. The number of citations received in 2017 is 9,628. The number of citations received in 2018 is 12,365. Altogether, the total citation is 21,993. And for the paper published in 2017 is the Nature Journal has published 390 papers in 2017 and it has published 379 paper in 2018. Altogether, the total papers are 769. The calculation of impact factor is so easy. It is just arithmetic mean, that's all. So impact factor is equal to total number of citations received divided by total number of paper published. So that is work out to be almost 28.599. This way we can calculate the impact factor of any journal. Okay, it is not only a Nature Journal. Based on the number of citation, based on the number of total paper published, it gives the impact factor. So usually the tendency of calculation the impact factor is for period of 2 years. It takes the previous data of only 2 years. If it is a 2020 means still it is not completed. So we have to take 2019 impact factor. So it will take the previous 2 years data. That means it will take the citation from 2017 and 2018 and also paper published in 2017 and 18. So for this, we will follow it. In the impact factor also, We have a 5 years impact factor. So deciding the performance of research only for 2 years, it is not that much of good. To measure the consistency in the research, so 5 years data is sufficient to measure the consistency in the journal. Okay. For 5 years impact factor, we have to take the data set of 5 years. It gives the more clarity on the quality over the long period of 5 years. The 5 years impact factor is a modified version of the impact factor using 5 years data set rather than 2 years. Usually we will follow the 2 years. If you see the more clarity on the impact over the long period, now there is a tendency for calculation of impact factor for 5 years also. Here it takes the data set of 5 years, previous 5 years. If you take the same example only, for Nature Journal, it releases the impact factor of 5 years in the year 2019, means it takes from 2015, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 divided by 5 years total paper publication. This way you can, so what is the difference between that impact factor and this impact factor? You can get more consistency over the long period. Okay, only for 2 years you cannot judge the quality of the journal. If you take a long period of 5 years, means you can assess very meticulously about the quality and performance of the journal. The journal must be covered in the JCR. So automatically the system and the matrix which is covered in the Web of Science, it calculate the officially the impact factor. So that journal must be covered in the JCR, that is the Journal Citation Report for the 5 years. So at least your journal should be covered 5 years from the volume 1 before receiving a 5 years impact factor. If you have a 5 years data, means only it is possible for us to calculate the impact factors of 5 years. Otherwise, it is highly impossible. Otherwise, you have to go with the 2 years window data set. The formula is very simple for the calculation of 5 years impact factor. The number of citation in 1 year to the content published in journal X in the previous 5 years divided by total number of articles published in journal X within the previous 5 years. There we are taking 2 years data. Here we have to take 5 years data. It is very simple. Okay, there is no any difference. Let us we talk about the merits of impact factors. What are the important advantages of calculation of merit of or the merit of the impact factor? The impact factor is a very useful tool for evaluation of journal. Okay, so in every subject today we come across, there is a tremendous flow of information is taking place. We are getting n number of books on a particular subject, n number of journal we are getting on a particular subject. So differentiating among the journal is a very toughest task for us. We have to follow one of the evaluation parameter for the selection of the books or selection of the journal. For example, if I am the librarian, means on what basis I supposed to select the journal for my library, because I have a limited budget. I could not able to purchase all the journal which are published on the particular field or discipline. I have to make a selection of the journal. On what basis we have to follow? We have to follow one of the evaluation parameter. That is one of the best parameter is impact factor. Therefore, the impact factor is a very useful tool for evaluation of journal. So which journal is good, which journal is bad, which journal is have a high quality one, which is a normal, which is below the normal. To making the differentiation of that category of journal, so we have to use the impact factor. Provide the quantitative tool for ranking and categorizing and comparing the journal. Because whenever you go for the selection process, means you have to rank the journal, most productivity journals in the field of library science. Based on what you are going to do it. Either you have to go according to the number of citation it received or according to the impact factor of the journal, you have to categorize it. So in the library science, in the bibliometrics law, we are categorize the journal's productivity on the 3 bases by applying the Bradford law. So that way, so these journals are making the categorization and selection and comparison among the journal. The impact factor is one of the best metrics for distinguish it. Enhance the quality and prestige of the journal. If the journal receive the high impact factor, automatically it has a totally different in nature in the research world. The quality is high, automatically prestige will go up, visibility is also go up in the research world. So it all depending upon the high impact factor. If the journal receive the high citations, automatically its impact factor is also go high, and automatically its visibility is also go high in the research world. It is a tool for academic evaluation. For example, so if you want to do for the selection of the appointment of the professor or associate professor or assistant professor means in which journal you have published your article means you check the quality of journal based on the impact factors. For the librarian, as I told, for the subscription of journal or the removal of the journal or the renewal of the journal, the librarian has to follow the impact factor is the base for the selection of the journals for his library. Publisher and editors. So this for the publisher, it is one of the marketing tool for them. Okay, if the publisher, if the journal is having a high impact factor means it is one of the marketing tool. It is going to influence a lot in the research world, in the marketplace to review and editorial function also. Author can identify the most appropriate influence journal in which to publish as well as confirm the status of journal in which they have published. So if I want to decide which journal I have to publish my research article means simply there are n number of journals also available, there are paid journals also available. In order to see the impact of my research outside the research world or in the scientific community, I have to select the journal such that which is having or made a high impact in the research world. That impact research journal is automatically carrying a high impact factors. That way it is helpful us to decide the publication of my research article in a particular journal based on the impact factor. Professor and students can discover where to find the current reading list in their respective field. If I want to do the research means if I want to refer some of the quality based article for my research work based on the impact factor, you select the journal in your field or specialization and go through it automatically, you will get the quality of work in your area. There are some of the limitations are there also in the impact factor. For the calculation of impact factor, there are some of the disadvantages, or we can also have a criticism about the calculation of impact factor. The impact factor is an arithmetic mean, doesn't adjust for the distribution of citation. As I told, it is simply an arithmetic mean or calculation. So it only takes the 2 years data. It is not take the spectrum of data over the long period. Okay, the distribution of citation is only for the 2 years. So it takes either positive as well as negative citation. It basically based on the number of citations you receive for your journal or the calculation of impact factor, even for the positive citations, even for the negative citation also automatically it calculates the impact factor. The JCR, that is Journal Citation Report, does not distinguish between the citation made to article reviews or editor. So the citation may be reviews either from the article or from reviews or from editorial board. But the calculation of JCR, it doesn't make any distinction among the type of the publication. The impact factor only consider the number of citations, not the nature of the quality. Either the article is good or bad, either it is a quality one as it doesn't have any quality. If you get the citation means automatically it will enhance the impact factor. It will never check the quality of the many number of the quality based article may not get the citation properly. That is one of the drawback of impact factor. You cannot compare the impact factor across the different subject areas and different disciplines. Very, very important here is the impact factor of the science is obviously very high. The impact factor of engineering field is also high. The impact factor of biological science and medical sciences, obviously they're very high. If you take the impact factor of the social science and humanities, it is relatively very less. because most of these journals are not included in the Web of Science or the Scopus journal. So automatically they will not get the citation. So by comparing the quality of the journal, so if you get the more number of citations or more number of impact factor, that is good. The quality of the social science is not good. You cannot compare it because the number of way the coverage of this journal is relatively less in case of social science and in case of humanities. Therefore, based on the impact factor, we cannot compare among the different disciplines. Okay, obviously, the social science journal impact factor is deals with in terms of decimal numbers. Some of the journal having impact factor 0 0.5, 0 0.6, 0 0.8, 1, 1.5, 1.2, 2.1. Whereas if you take in the science in some of the biological area, so automatically the some of the journal starts with the minimum impact factor of 10. Therefore, the quality of the faculty member, we cannot judge the quality of the social science. That means competency and skills of the faculty of the social science cannot be underestimated only for the comparison of impact factors or the citations. And apart from that, the impact factor can show a significant variation year on year, especially in the small journal. So if you get the 20 impact factor, next year automatically it goes to 10 or it may goes to 30. For a small journal, the size of the journal is small, automatically there is a lot of fluctuation in the impact factor. So based on that, you cannot judge the quality. Last year it is a high good quality, this year it is a low quality. We cannot make the decision like that. Okay, it is inadequate international coverage. Some of the journal, they have not been covered at all, and this impact factor is inadequate international coverage. Only few journal from less developed country is included in the Web of Science. Majorly, most of the journal published in the European countries and America, almost all they have included in the major databases like a Web of Science or in the Scopus. But other countries, very less developed country, most of the journals are not included. If it is not included, means automatically won't get the citation. So obviously, you can get the less number of impact factor. And by this impact factor can also be manipulated with the help of self-citations of the author or journal self-citation. This way, the number of this, as I told, this impact factor is nothing but it is a numeric number. That number can be manipulated with the help of self-citations or journal self-citation. The next very important research matrix what we are using, it is advanced to the that of the impact factor. It is used in the Scopus database, that is called as a CiteScore. CiteScore is one of the matrix, or we can call it as a research matrix. It is it's just calculate the number. It is the relation between the number of citations and total research publications. It is automatically calculated. What this research metrics do is it will track the journals, it will trace the journal, it rank the journal, and based on the data availability, it will assign the impact factor also. The CiteScore is the ratio of citation to the research published. It is applicable for journal and book series which are indexed in Scopus. So this is one of the research matrix covered in Scopus database. It will be exclusively for the assessment of the journal rank list. CiteScore consider all the content published in journal, not the just article and reviews. So for example, if you take in the impact factor, it only takes maximum time the number of article only. It will not consider other type of publication covered in the journal. Whereas CiteScore is cover all into account for the calculation of CiteScore value. Produced by Scopus in the December 2016. This is a new research matrix introduced in the Scopus database in the year 2016. It is also published additional ranking of the journal. Based on the citation it received automatically, the research matrix prepare the rank list that is called as a most productivity rank list of the journal it prepared, such as the CiteScore percentile based on subject categories, and monthly CiteScore tracker is there. Automatically on the online, it will track the journal and receive the citation. Based on the citation, it calculate the CiteScore value and prepare the rank list of the journal. The number of the for calculation of CiteScore, it follow the very simple formula, that is the number of all citation recorded in Scopus in 1 year to the content published in journal X in the last 3 years divided by the total number of items published in journal X in the previous 3 years. For calculation of CiteScore, it takes the data range of 3 years. For the calculation of impact factor, usually it takes a range of data for 2 years. It takes only 2 years window data. For 5 years impact factor, it takes the 5 years data. For CiteScore, for the calculation of the CiteScore value, it takes 3 years previous data. A difference between the CiteScore and impact factor, both it is a improvised version of the impact factors. The CiteScore is based on the Scopus databases rather than Web of Science, because this CiteScore is a research matrix which is available in Scopus database. It doesn't belonging to anything. Only it takes the journals, articles, citations received in Scopus database. Based on availability of the data in that database, it calculates the CiteScore value. It doesn't covers any of the article which is covered in the Web of Science. The number of citation and journal coverage in the certain subject area is relatively higher. Only on certain area it has a high impact. CiteScore uses 3 years citation window. As I told earlier, the impact factor usually takes a 2 years window, whereas the CiteScore take 3 years window for the calculation of CiteScore. The CiteScore denominator include all the content published in the journal. While I am dealing with the formula of the impact factor, means the total number of citations received for the content published in the last 2 years divided by the total number of publications published during the last 2 years. But in this case, it is only covers the article in most of the cases in the impact factor. But in this case, in the denominator, total number of publication or total number of article. The article in the sense it covers all type of publication. It covers the article, it covers the reviews, it covers the editorial reviews, it covers all others. Okay, so for the calculation, CiteScore covers all subject areas, whereas impact factor is only available for journal indexed in SCIE and SSCI. Only for that it covers. The next very important factor is Eigine factor. It is also one of the recent developed in research matrix, which is included in the year 2017 by the Web of Science. As you know, the Web of Science is one of the international databases. So it has included 2 important metrics in the year 2007. That is, one is Eigine factor, other one is article influence score. This article influence score is one matrix used to measure the performance of the article. At the article level, it measures the research output. These are the 2 metrics included in the Web of Science in the year 2007, which is also a part of JCR. JCR, again, it is a research index or research matrix included in Web of Science. They follow the network theory methodology for calculation of Eigine factor. For the calculation of impact factor, it is very easy, it is very simple, just it is arithmetic mean. Whereas the calculation of Eigine factor, it is little bit of complication. It follow the methodology of network theory methodology for the calculation of Eigine factor. It covers only the high quality citations covered in other subject. What actually the Eigine factor is? The Eigine factor measures the influence of the article based on whether it is cited within other reputable journal over the 5 years. So it is covers the 5 years period of journals published in the other reputable journals. So it covers only highly cited journals for the calculation purpose, enhance the quality of the journal more, worth more than from journal with few citation. Citation are also weighted by the length of the reference list that they are from. The Eigen factor is calculated using the algorithm to rank the influence of the journal according to the citation they issue. The 5 years window is used and journals of citation not included. This score doesn't take a journal size into account. Whereas in case of calculation of impact factor, we are taking 2 years window. For the calculation of Eigen factor, it takes the 5 years window, and apart from that, it doesn't take into account of self citations, and also it will not take into account of size of the journal. That distinguish you should have it. The number of citation in 1 year to the content published, how to calculate the Eigen factor for the journal. So at the individual level, it calculates the Eigen factor for each journal also, enhance the further quality of the journal. So the calculation as follows. The number of citations in 1 year to the content published in the journal X in the previous 5 years divided by the total number of articles published in journal X within the previous 5 years. So it is very simple. Instead of there, we are taking directly the numbers, but here it takes the weighted average. That is the difference between the calculation of Eigen factor as well as impact factor. Okay, it takes for the calculation for 5 years, it takes the weighted average value. So here is one of the portal how to check the Eigen factor of the given journal. So log on to this particular website, type the rank of type the journal we wish to see the rank in this website. Automatically it will use the value of the Eigen value of the particular journal. Here you see the nature journal I have typed in the eigenfactor.org. So it has given the Eigen value is in between 1.443. So in this case, the next very important factor for me is very discussed nowadays, that is H index. What actually H index is? Everybody asking at the university, at college, what is your H index? What is the H index of your university? What is the H index of your institution? What is the H index of your country? So you are talking so much about the H index. What actually this H index is? H index is an author index. So this index, it is a number, that's all. It is a number is given by some of the physics scientists. So it measures the performance or it measures the research performance of the individual author. It measures the individual author research performance. Indicator of impact. It makes the impact of the author by using H index. It is based on the citation of measurement. It is very simple. To see the relation between the scientific productivity and apparent scientific impact of the scientist. What does it mean? What are the publications we have published outside the world? How much impact it has made in the research world? Simply increasing the number of publications is not taken into account in the research area now. Whatever the article you have published, that has to make an impact on the scientific community in the research world. Your research should be visible across the world in the research world. I will give some of the example. I have come to know that one professor from the chemistry, he has published 500 research article and his H index is only 5. Is one professor from Oxford University. He has published only 20 research article. His H index is 50. You see the H index. In terms of H index, the professor from Oxford University is more reliable, more competent, more has quality in nature. if you talk in terms of numbers of research papers, in terms of quantity of research paper, even though you have published 500 research article, it doesn't make any impact on the research world. There is no use. Simply publishing the research article doesn't make any difference. But whatever the article you have to publish that has to make impact on outside the research world, that you have to take into account. So for the H index of the 20 of the professor, you cannot compete with the 5, even though you have a number of papers, but your competency is less. Therefore, nowadays the research tendency is like that. But simply writing the paper and making the publication of paper is not your job. You have to see that you have to produce the quality of research article, and that research article should have an impact in the research world. That you have to see it. The H index is an index that quantifies the actual scientific productivity and the apparent scientific impact of the scientist. It is the relation between the two variables. What are those two variables? One is quantification of actual scientific productivity, and other one is apparent scientific impact of the scientist. How much your research work is referred by others and other have quoted your publication citations. That is most important. Okay. And the index is based on the most cited papers and the number of citations that they have received in other publication. It is very simple. How many papers you have published, how many your paper have been cited by others, and also quoted your papers in the research work. That is the relation in the H index. H index is very simple. It is the relation between the number of paper published, number of citation you received. The index was suggested by the George E. Ursh, a physicist at USSD, a tool for determining theoretical physicist relative quality. In order to check the quality of the author, the competency of the author, skill of the author, the H index is one of the criteria. So the performance of a research can be judged on the basis of H index only. There is a tendency in America to appointing a particular person for the various scientific posts in USA. For example, if they want to appoint director for NASA, director for astrophysics, director for some other scientific institution, they will first see the H index of the scientist. Based on the H index only, they will give the post for the scientist. Therefore, this index is one of the individual level author performance index. Based on the research performance, you will get the H index. The index can also be applied to the productivity and impact of the group of scientists, departments, universities, or country. Nowadays, the H index is not only concerned with the particular author. H index can be used for university also. H index is used for the group of scientists also. H index is used for particular institution also, particular country. What is the H index of author? What is the H index of institution? What is the H index of particular organization? What is the H index of the country? Like this H index is not only concerned with author, it is also concerned with institution, organization, country also. H index is the highest number of papers that a scientist has written that have each issue at least that number of citations. Very simple. So always it is based on the high citation papers indicate the H index of yours. For example, my H index is 4. I have H index 4. What does it mean? It means that 4 of the articles have been cited at least 4 times. 4 of my highest 4 papers in terms of citation. They have cited at least 4 times by others. Therefore, minimum citation, how much I have received? I have received 4 into 4, that means 16 citations. Okay. To have a H index, high H index, one must publish an article that create an impact in the scientific community. In order to increase in your H index means you have to see the impact of your research output. That means you have to publish the research article in a high impact factor journal. Automatically you will receive the n number of citation. If the citation ratio means automatically your H index will goes enhancing. You have to see that. Okay, the H index can be easily obtained by anyone with access to the Thomson ISI Web of Science, and it's easy to understand. So automatically H index can be calculated by the available in the indexing databases, either at the Web of Science or at the Scopus. Even you can use the Google Scholar citation also. Okay, automatically based on the availability of your data in that database, calculate your H index. Just you go log in into the Web of Science, type your name, automatically it gives your H index. Okay, so this H index can be very easy. It can be obtained from Google Scholar, Scopus database also, and also you can use if you have a data about your number of citation and number of paper published, you can also calculate the H index of your own. Okay, here are the graphs how they have calculated the H index of the author. So what is H index actually? The H index is nothing but very simple. The number of paper equal to the number of citation. What is number of paper is equal to the number of citation. That indicates the H index of the author. You take the papers of the author on the x-axis, take the number of citation received by the author on y-axis, draw the line, and at the 45-degree, draw the perpendicular line to the coincident. And the intersection point on the curve, you draw the perpendicular line, it touches the x-axis. The touching point is called as H index of author. H index of author. Similarly, you can also see here. You can also see here. Okay. So just it is the relation between the two variables. One you have to take on x-axis, other one you have to take on y-axis. On x-axis, you take the number of papers written by the author. On y-axis, you take the number of citations received by the author. Just draw the perpendicular line, making 45-degree. The intersection point of that curve, draw perpendicular line. It touches the x-axis. At x-axis, a touching point gives the author index. That is the number. You take the whole number. That is the author number. Or in other terms, H index is nothing but H number of article have cited minimum H times. So in order to make more about the clarity of H index, just I will see here. For example, you have written 10 papers. The 10 papers have received different citations. The first citation, this based on the citation wise, you have to arrange the data from the largest to the lowest citation. Accordingly, you arrange your papers. Okay. The first paper receives the maximum citation about 20. The second paper receives the citation of 10. The third paper receives the citation of 7. The fourth paper receives the citation of 6. The fifth citation receives 5 citations. Fifth paper receives the 5 citations. The remaining sixth paper receives 3. 7 paper 0, 8 paper 0, 9 paper 0, 10 paper 0. What I told that when the rank of the citation of paper is equal to the number of citation, that is became a H index of authors. So look at here how the H index has calculated in the given table. A particular author with 10 publication. So you leave it the year of publication, take the maximum citations. The first paper receives highest citation 70 and rank according to that from the largest to the lowest. Rank the papers according to the number of citation. The first paper which is received the 17th citation ranked as 1. The second paper receives 12 citations. It is ranked as 2. Third paper receives 6 citations. Fourth paper receives 5 citations. Fifth paper receives 5 citations. You look at here. When the rank is the citation count value is equal to its rank value. If it is equal to the column 2 and column 3, if it is equals or it is near to equal, then that is the H index of author. So you look at here, is the citation count value is equal to its rank value. If the citation value is 5 and the rank value is also 5, when is equal to this or near to equal to this, that indicates the H index of author. If we go below means that article doesn't carry any weightage at all. Just you have to see it when the rank of the paper is equal to the rank of citation, that is became a H index. Okay, so you look at the last column. Okay, is the citation count value equal to its rank value? So is it 1 equal to 7? No. 2 is equal to 12? No. 3 is equal to 6? No. 4 is equal to 5? No. When 5 is equal to 5, that means the rank of the paper is equal to the number of citation. That is became a H index. That is equal to yes. Yes or no. This way you can calculate the H index of the author. Here I have generated the H index with the help of Google Scholar of the Stephen Hawking, one of the very reputed scientists in physics. Look at his H index, which is automatically generated by the Google Scholar. Total number of citations received by the Stephen Hawking in physics in his area is 1,24,533 citations for his work. His H index is 118, 110. And Eigen index is 346. Very high impact of his research work. Okay, one of his first papers has received a model of leptons, has received 14,625. Like this, according to the citation, from the largest to the lowest, it will rank it. The first paper, a model of leptons, has received 14,624 in the year 1967. The second paper receives 11,283. The third paper, particle creation by black holes, that has received the citation of 9,901. Like this, it will goes. When this citation value is equal to the rank of the paper, that is the H index of Stephen Hawking. That means when is 118th paper and it equals to the number of citation, that is the H index of the Stephen Hawking. What about I-10 index? I-10 H index, it has 346. That means minimum 346 paper of Stephen Hawking has received minimum 10 citations. Have received minimum 10 citations. 346 of his research paper have received a minimum 10 citation for his research work. That we call it as a I-10 index. This is mine, okay, of it is generated or if you want to see your H index means, first you have to register your email in Google Scholar. So automatically it will create your profile. If you want, if it is automatically, it is indexed, automatically it will calculate. In case if it is not indexed, your research article means there is a provision for manually adding in the Google Scholar. That way automatically the Google Scholar is one which is one of the indicator. It will online tracker of your article as well as citation. Mine citation is 76, my H index is 5 and I-10 index is 3, means 5 of my papers have received minimum 5 citation. So that is my H index. And 3 of my papers have received minimum 10 citation for each of my work. My 3 of mine, one first paper, Modeling the Growth of Neurology Literature, has received a highest, that is 16 citation, and Application of Bradford Law paper has received 11 citation. The next, Research Trend in Crystallography, a study of scientific analysis, received 11. These 3 are, we call it as a Eigen index. The minimum 3 of my articles have received minimum 10 citation, that is the Eigen index of author. Let us we discuss about basically, as I told, the calculation of H index. It is very simple. Let us we discuss about the merits of this H index. The H index is easy to calculate. When number of paper is equal to number of citation, that is the H index of the author. Nothing is there. The H index was intended to address the disadvantages of their bibliometrics indicators. So earlier we don't have this H index, but we have using some of the indicators available in the bibliometrics, like the total number of citation, total number of articles, total citation per article. Like this, we follow the count rules in the earlier days. To avoid the disadvantages of this bibliometrics laws and indicator, H index is one of the best indicator to avoid these disadvantages in the bibliometrics. To perform the better than the other single number criteria commonly used to evaluate the scientific output of the researcher. The H index can be easily obtained by anyone with access to the Thomson ISI Web of Science, and it is easy to understand. Anyone, if you log on to the Web of Science or Scopus or Google Scholar, automatically you get your H index. So it can be available in Google, Scopus and other databases. Next, very important, there is a lot of criticism about H index today. What are those limitations or criticism of H index? Or there are a number of situations in which H may provide misleading information about the scientist. The H index is not a perfect measure the performance of the author or scientist. So in many times it gives the very misleading information about the scientist. The H index is obtained by the total number of publications and the total number of citations. That's all. It means that the scientists with a short career are at an inherent disadvantages regardless of the importance of their discoveries. So if you have more senior means you are getting a higher H index. If you are a junior means you are getting less H index. Even though junior scientists have done a very wonderful research work, that is not be counted in terms of H index. That is the drawback of H index. There are interfield differences in the typical value due to the difference among the field productivity and citation practice. H index of the social science, H index of the humanities cannot compare with the H index of science, medicine and engineering. So they have a minimum start with 15, 20, 100, whereas the H index of the social science and the humanities in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, because most of their research articles not covered under the major databases, automatically though they won't get any citations. So that is a drawback. If H index of the social science is relatively less because of some hiccups in the process of calculation. So that means the competency of the social science cannot compare with the competency of the science teacher only based on the H index, because the nature of work is different, their nature of work is different. Only taken into account of H index, you cannot compare the competency of the social science teacher with the science teacher. So the H index depends on the duration of each scientist's career because of the pool of publication and citation in this short time. That means while the less juniors, they will get obviously a small, less H index, and duration of the service is more, they are getting high H index. That is one of the important drawback. Different databases give a different H index. That is another very disadvantages is if you calculate the H index of the author in the Web of Science, it is different. If you see the H index in Scopus, the H index of the same author is different. If you see the H index in Google Scholar, it is totally different. It all depends upon what makes the number of article published in that databases, number of citation received in that databases, number of journal covered under that databases, it all counts. Therefore, based on only on H index, we cannot judge the competency of the teacher because it has its many drawbacks in the calculation of H index. All citations are taken into account, whereas positive or negative, whether it is a positive or negative, whatever the citation received by the author, automatically the H index will be calculated irrespective of the quality of the article. The H index cannot be used to compare the researcher at different stage in their career. Highly cited papers are important for the determination of the H index. You see, look at here, when the rank of the paper is equal to the number of citation received, that is becoming H index. Only the top level citation paper are taken into account in H index calculation. The paper below the H index, I have given the 5 is equal to 5 means only above the 5 level citation papers are taken into account for the calculation. Below 5, the papers are not taken into account. Even though they are very good paper, they are not taken into account in the calculation of H index. That is another important drawback of H index. So while H index de-emphasizes the similar successful publication in favor of sustained productivity, it may do so too strongly. And this is a disadvantages of H index, with Higgs has tried to overcome through the new index called G index. Because of the lot of criticism among the scientific community. So the Leo X in the year 2006 developed another indicator or the another research matrix that is called as a G index to overcome the drawback of H index. And in this G index is also used as one of the research indicator or matrix used for the performance of the author. Several suggestions have come to overcome these limitations for the sample of G index, but none has gained the universal. But even though he has developed and devised this G index, but that G index is not taken any moment in the world in the field of scientific community. It is not recognized still also. No one is using G index. Still the popular one is H index only. G index of the authors. G index is introduced the improvement of the H index. Whatever the demerits are there, whatever the drawbacks are there, criticism is there in the H index that has improvised in the G index process or the calculation. The H index of the shall measure the global citation performance of the set of article. It is an author level metric suggested in 2006 by Leo Eigh. The index is calculated based on the distribution of citation received by the given researcher's publication, such that a given set of articles ranked in decreasing order of the number of citations that they are received. G index is a unique largest number such that the top of the G article received together at least G square citation. The G index gives a more weight to the highly cited article. One G index will always be equal or greater than H index. In the calculation of G index, more weightage will be given to the highly cited papers, highly quality papers. So most of the cases, the G index either it is always greater than H index, or sometimes it is equal to H index, but it never come down less than the H index. And this H index can be obtained in the software what we call as a publish or perish. It can be freely downloadable. If you give the author name, automatically it will calculate the G index of the author. Look at here how calculation of H and G index has taken place in this table. Here they have arranged the rank of the paper based on what? Based on citation received by the paper. The first paper received 15 citation. The second paper received 10 citation. Third paper receives 7 papers. Fourth paper received 4 citation. So when the rank of the paper is equal to the rank of, when the rank of the paper is equal to the number of citation receives, that is a H index. Therefore, in the H index column, they put a X mark that indicates the H index of the author is 4. So what is the formula they have used? The rank of the paper is equal to the number of citations received. When this is equal to this means that is became a H index of the author. Next one is what? The fifth paper receives 0 citation, sixth paper receives 0 citation, seventh paper receives 0 citation. So now we have calculated the H index. Come to G index. Same only. In the rank of the document or the paper, so you have to square it, that's all. The first paper, it is ranked, you square it, it is became a 1 year. The second paper, you have to square it, it is become a 4. In the calculation of G index, the rank of the document has to be squared, that's all. The third paper has to square it, is become a 9. Fourth paper, you have to square it, it is a 16. Fifth, 25, 6th, 36, 7, 49. So like this, we have to develop the rank square of the document or paper. And the next column, some citations. Sum of citation, here it is nothing but what? Cumulative citation of the article. So here, the first paper receives how much citation? 15 citations are there. In the next, what you have to calculate? So you have to calculate the cumulative citation of the paper. So near 15 plus 10, how much? 25. Again 25 plus 7, it is 32. 32 plus 4, it is 36. 36 plus 0, 36. 36 plus 0, so automatically it will calculate it. Okay. When the rank square is equal to the sum of citation, that is became a G index of the author. When, see, once again I will repeat, the rank square of the document, rank square of the paper is equal to the sum of the citation, or near to that, that is become a G index of the author. Whereas in case of H index, the rank of the document is equal to the number of citation, that is the H index. The rank square of the document is equal to the sum of the citation or the cumulative citation, that is became a G index of the author. This is another journal citation report which is used, okay, in the Web of Science. It is one of the online tracking of journals. It is one of the research index, or it is a research matrix is used to measure the performance of the article. It will basically do the tracking, tracing, ranking, and making the a list of ranking of journal, which is a part of Web of Science. Journal Citation Reports offers a systematically, critically evaluate the world leading journal based on the citation it receives. Automatically, it has an online tracking. It receives the citation. Based on that citation, every time it go on updating the rank list of journals in the Web of Science with the quantifiable statistical information based on the citation data by compiling the article cited references. So automatically it calculates the journal citation report, which use the impact factors of the journal. JCR Web helps to measure the research influence and impact at the journal and category level, and shows the relationship between the citing and cited journal, available in Science and Social Science editions of Web of Science. This is how it is going to calculate the quantification of citations. So another important research metrics is SCIE journal ranking. This is also one of the most important research metrics used to see the reputation and the prestige of the journal. If you want to check, if you want to publish an article in a particular journal, before simply you are publishing in that journal, you have to check the credentiality of that journal, the reputation of that journal. So it is an official official website released by the scientific community. So for example, if you want to publish an article in a particular journal X, you go to the website of SCIE journal ranking, type that journal. If that particular journal is indexed in this database or website, automatically it gives the credential of that journal. You don't know, the publisher is claiming that a false predatory journal. It may be a very false publisher claiming that his impact factor of the journal is 10. But you have to verify it whether it is actually 10 or it is less than 10, doesn't have any impact factor. You go to this official website, you type that particular journal in the box. Automatically, if it is indexed in that journal, means it will give the credentiality of that journal. What is the H index of that particular journal? Who has the publisher of that journal? What is the ISBN number? And what is the nature of that journal? And which discipline it is publishing? All the credential automatically it gives. So I may one of the request for the all the participants and the faculty member is if you go for the publication of any journal, at least one time you log into this particular website, Simago Journal Ranking Journal, you type that particular journal, check the credential, and if it is there means automatically it gives the that particular journal. Okay. So it also calculates the Simago journal ranking system. It follow the formula here. Average number of weighted citation given a year to a journal of X divided by number of articles published in journal X in the previous 3 years. It is calculated using Scopus databases. Simago journal ranking, it takes the data of Scopus. Here I have tried to check the credential of the two journal. One simply I have checked with the Annals of Library and Information Science journal. It is one of the most reputed journal in India in the field of library science. I want to check its credentiality. I simply typed in the Simago journal database. So automatically it gives the result. So this particular journal, Annals of Library and Information Science, has a H index of 11, and it has so this is published by the National Institute of Communication, and it has a ISBN number and all ISSN number, and who is the publisher of that one, which field it is coverage, all the things it will publish. Here I have also tied another journal, that is a Nature journal, which has the ISBN, that is the 1159 is the H index, which is given by the Simago journal ranking. It given the credentiality, which country it is publishing, and which field it is publishing, what is the ISBN number. It gives the official credentiality of the journal. Another important research metrics today, what we are going is Google Scholar citation. Okay, so all the my sincere request is all the faculty members and research scholars, you have to register your email in the Google Scholar citation. Automatically, Google Scholar citation, automatically your profile will be created, and automatically this particular research field or indicators or matrix will calculate the H index of yours. So you have to do it immediately. It will follow and tracking the number of publication you have published, the number of citation it received in the online process. It will automatically calculate your H index of the authors. If you want to measure the article performance at the article level, there is one more research indicator that we call it as an article influence score. The article influence score is measure the assessment of the article, influence of the journal article in the first 5 years after publication, how the article is performing in the research world after the publication of 5 years. The score greater than 1 shows the above average level of influence. So always the article influence score has a formula. It follows this formula. That means if you want to calculate the individual article performance value, so you have to use this formula. 0.01 is a constant multiplied with the Eigine factor of the journal of X divided by number of articles published in journal X over the 5 years divided by the number of articles published in all journal over the 5 years. Little bit of complication in the calculation of this article influence score. It is performing, it measures the performance of the article for the 5 years. Almost this value, article influence score value is almost nearest to 1. So the decision can be taken like this. If the article influence score value is greater than 1, if it is above 1, it has a average level influence. It has a above average level influence. So look it once again. If the article influence score is greater than 1, that journal it is above the average level influence. If the article influence score is less than 1, so its performance it is below the average influence. More than 1, it is above the average level. If it is below 1, it is below the average influence. Based on that, you can judge the performance of the article level. Another very important, recent, very emerging research matrix is Altmetrics. It is recently it is developed and designed in order to give the very broad spectrum of research impact. So far, we are only measuring the research impact only in the only in the our traditional method of channels. Okay, publication in the article, publication in the conference volume, publication in the books. Only in that channels we are getting the impact. But in order to give the broader spectrum of research, so Altmetrics has provided the alternative metrics for measuring the performance of the research output. Can be used individual researcher, departments, institution, publication, and more. Okay, so it is also one of the research metrics used to measure the performance of the research output, either author or the department or the university or the institution or the country. Okay, Altmetrics, or you can call it as alternative metrics, helps you to measure the impact of the journal by looking at the social activity around it. It is not only in the publication of any of the journal or any of the databases. Even your research output is also covered under social media. If the discussion is taken place in the social media, in the newspaper, in the electronic channel, in the Twitter, in the blogs, in the Instagram, in the Facebook, or in the newspaper, all spectrum of wide range of impact is made in the Altmetrics. Okay, Altmetrics is help you to measure the impact of the journal by looking at the social activity around it. They use the quantitative and qualitative data along with the traditional citation and usage based metrics to provide an insight into the attention, influence the impact of the academic research. The most common method of reporting the altmetrics is altmetric attention score is there. It will calculate the score of the given research. Okay, so it based on that you can able to judge the quality of your research work. This tool track a wide range of online sources to capture the conversation happening around the academic research. It is not only in the traditional mode of channels of publication. Even out of that also it has provided a broader spectrum of impact of your research. It uses so much of social medias for the discussion of your research output. So that also it can calculate the altmetric score for your research work. In addition to the citation, these news alternative metrics include impact measures such as media coverage and social networks. However, as with the citation metrics, these metrics may fail to capture full range of scholarship by omitting the non-article outputs such as preprints, poster, dataset, others. Calculation of altmetric score as follows. It's very simple. Altmetrics is a very recent matrix available in the research metrics. It is coverage not only in the traditional mode of publication of research output. It make your research most impact and most influence by using available social medias. Altmetrics monitor each online mention of piece of research and weights of the mention based on the volume, resources, and authors. So a mention in the international newspaper contributing to the higher score than the tweet about the research. For example, the altmetric attention score is presented in the form of colorful dot chart. So it is presented in the form of a colorful graph. How much score likes it got over the wide spectrum of the research community in various forms and channels and platform. Each color indicates the different sources of online attention, ranging from traditional media. So it is a consisting of set of colors in the dot bar chart graph. So every color has its own media or channels. It has a social media, blogs, online reference manager, academic forums, patents, policy document, etc. As covers the likes from the different spectrum. So it will indicate it in the form of a donned chart graph. Strong altmetric score will feature both a high number in the center and a wide range of color in the dont. Center, it has a high eccentric, high citation score compared to the outer layer of the dont graph. Discover the different way you can make the altmetric data work. This is how we can calculate the altmetric score for the particular research output. So likes are received a newspaper as given 96 citation, blogs it has received 3 citation, Twitter it received 32 citation, Facebook it received only 1 citation, Google Scholar it has given 1 citation, Mandela has given 3. So total altogether almost from the different sources it has received totally 794 in the form of donut gram. Advantages: receive instant trackable, immediately you can get the likes or citation for your research work in the online mode. In the virtual mode, get a holistic view of attention, impact and influence. It is not only in the form of research publication, even from the social media also you get the attention, you get the feedback about your research work. Immediately you can get it. Disadvantages of the altmetrics is biases in the data which altmetrics collects, focus on English speaking sources because there is again bias in the calculation of altmetrics. Only the English speaking sources have received the maximum likes or feedback. There is also bias towards the subject also. In science and technology, they have given more weightage, and medicine also, but compared to the socials and other, they have given less attention. And there is also bias in this, limited to the tracking online attention. The altmetric score was built to track a digital conversation. Another important research metric says the source normalized impact per paper. This is one of the research metrics recently included in the Scopus database. This is also used for the tracking, tracing, ranking of the journal which are indexed in the Scopus databases. Okay, SNIP is a journal level metrics which attempt to correct the subject specific characteristics, simplifying across the discipline, comparison between the journals. It measures the citation received against the citation expected for the subject field using the Scopus data. SNIP is published twice a year. Look at the 3 years period. It is published twice a year, taking the account of 3 years data for the calculation of SMP score. Journal citation count per paper divided by a citation potential in the field is the formula is used for the calculation of source normalized impact per paper in the database of Scopus. SNIP is normalized source across the discipline comparison. Citation from publication with a long reference list has a lower value. SNIP only considers the citation to the specific content types, article, reviews, conference paper, and doesn't count citation from the publication that Scopus classify the non-citing. So let us come to the last part of the presentation is the conclusion. Publishing research output in high impact journal is a primary concern for the researcher. Very important. What I want to say is you should have a knowledge of all these research metrics. What is H index, what is impact factor, what is G index, what is Altmetrics. All the things you should know and aware it. Today your research should be more impact outside the research world. Okay, we have to make it. Simply writing the article is not important today environment. What you have to do is you have to, whatever you written it, that you have to make it more, publicize it outside the world. That you can do it when only if we have a thorough knowledge on the research metrics. Research metrics are the fundamental tools used across the publishing industry to measure the performance both at the journal and article level. One should have a knowledge of these research metrics in order to enhance your research visibility across the scientific community. With this, I'm going to conclude my presentation. Thank you so much for all participants for your kind cooperation, and also thanks a lot.